Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio, so today I'm going to be showing you, quite possibly, the meanest Pokemon deck that has ever been made. At least it's got to be up there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, those of you that have been playing the game a long time will not be surprised to know that this deck came from my namesake, Ross Corform, and I am delighted to say that though this channel is far from huge, people have finally realised we're not the same person. I was congratulated multiple times for getting second at Worlds. That never happened. That's the other Ross. He's the Ross that's good at playing. I'm the Ross with the lovely voice. He's come up with an amazing deck that I would like to share with you. The list is posted on limitlesstcg.com. So shout out to Ross for making a deck and Limitless for posting it. And the kind of... I don't know if I can sit here and say there's a main part to the deck, but I think probably the main part per se is Stoutland. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is a deck based around Stoutland. This got 47th place at Daytona Beach, a huge regional over in the US. And it's based around Stoutland. It plays for Stoutland. Now, here we're really talking about the ability Sentinel. While Stoutland is in the active, your opponent cannot play any supporter cards from his or her hand. Now, this is huge, because it's not just drawing cards with N or Sycamore. It's playing a Guzma to get Stoutland out of the active. It's playing an Ace Roller to pick up a damaged Pokemon, etc. There is an attack here, 90 damage, flip a coin if Tails do 20 damage to yourself. You're not going to be using that. The deck only actually plays for Lightning Energy. Now at this stage, I should tell you that this deck plays Celebi EX. It doesn't play enough energy, it doesn't play any grass energy, Wind Whisk is off the table. But it relies on the ability Time Recall. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolutions. So at this stage we need to go back and look at Lillipup and Herdier to see what we've got on them. I will share the deck list with you at the end of the video, of course. So Herdier here has the ability Treasure Hunt. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may put an item card from your discard pile into your hand. It has an ability that just recovers item cards from the discard pile. This is important. Again, we can do 50 for free energy, but we're playing 4 basic lightning. We're unlikely to be using this. And then we get to Lillipup, and Lillipup is important here, because the attack pickup for a single energy, now this looks like one we can actually use, put an item card from your discard pile into your hand. Now, I'm hoping you're starting to see a little bit of synergy here. Lillipup has an attack that grabs an item from your discard into your hand. Herdier's got an ability that takes an item from your discard pile into your hand. So you've got Stoutland sitting there. As you're evolving up, you get to use Treasure Hunt, and then while Stoutland's sitting there in the active, you're using Celebi so that you can use Lillipup's pickup so that you can grab an item card from your discard pile into your hand. There are a couple of other things we use in this deck rather than just blocking supporters and reusing items. First of all, we have got the Raichu from Burning Shadows. Now this is important because when you evolve Raichu, you get to leave your opponent's active Pokemon paralysed. Automatic paralysis when you evolve up into Raichu. That sounds pretty tasty. Because of course if your opponent cannot attack and cannot retreat, then that just gives you more time. Again, you can use Volt Tackle for 130 here. You are technically playing enough energy, but it's extremely unlikely. Now, the great thing here is, and I talked about this when we talked about Raichu first time round, I said that most of the time the problem here is that you're going to damage your opponent when they're paralysed, and then your opponent's just going to play an Ace Roller to pick them up. Well, they cannot play an Ace Roller to pick up Raichu if you've got a Stoutland in the active and they are blocked from using supporter cards. They cannot play a Guzma to switch out of the active because Stoutland is there making sure that they can't. Now, in terms of which Pikachu to play with the Raichu, you've got the Sun and Moon promo Pikachu. It's got 70 HP. It's got Thunder Wave. Flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And remember, we're playing Celebi, so when you've got a Raichu in the active, you can use the attack of this particular Pikachu. It's on a coin flip, but you've got 70 HP, most of the other Pikachu only have 60. This is the best Pikachu that you want to be playing. And by now, I'm assuming you can see what we're doing. Leaving them paralysed with Raichu, while you leave Stoutland in the active so that they cannot play abilities. If they are paralysed, all they can do to get out the active is play an Ace Roller, or play something like a Switch, or an Escape Rope. The vast majority of decks at the moment are not playing Switch or Escape Rope. They're playing Guzma to Switch, which they cannot play with Stoutland in the active, and they're playing Floatstone. Which brings me to the last real Pokemon Ross plays, other than Tapu Lele, that everybody plays for the Wonder Tag ability. You can search out your supporters, play whichever one you like, it's too good. It's Goodra. Goodra from Phantom Forces, which has got an ability that says that both players are not allowed to play tools from their hand. So what you've basically got here is they cannot play Floatstone because you've got Goodra, and they cannot play Guzma because of Stoutland. Most decks are not playing things like Switch or Escape Rope, so you're basically sticking them in the active. By now, if you haven't guessed, let me make it extremely clear. This is a deck-out deck. This is a deck that tries to stop your opponent playing cards. If you cannot draw a card at the beginning of your turn, you lose from deck-out. So this is what we're trying to do here. Pull a Pokemon in the active, maybe with something like a Guzma, paralyze them with Raichu and Pikachu, and then keep Stoutland in the active so they cannot play supporters. Now, of course, we're going to need a Goomy here. Fun fact, for my godson's first birthday, I bought him a Goomy plush. And it's got Bubble, flip a coin if heads, the opponent's active Pokemon is paralysed. Just like with Pikachu, you don't really want to be attacking with Goomy, you don't really want Goodra in the active, but either way, if you don't have a Stoutland in the active, then you've either got a Pikachu, Raichu, Goomy or Goodra, any of whom, because of Celebi, has an attack, flip a coin if heads, the defending Pokemon is paralysed. This is important to keep the paralysis lock going. And it really is a paralysis/supporter lock deck. That is what you do. Stoutland to block supporters, Raichu to paralyze, and then you've got the pre-evolutions of Stoutland to get your item cards back, and you've got Raichu and Goomy to add paralysis options. So let's run through the trainer cards we're playing in this particular deck. Clearly we're playing Professor Juniper/Sycamore to draw cards. Clearly we're playing Bridget, Tapu Lele Wonder Tag on turn 1 to grab it, to get all of our basics out. We are playing AZ to pick up our Pokemon rather than Ace Roller because we want to be able to get non-damaged Pokemon out of the active. You're not going to be playing tools because Goodra turns off your tools. You're rarely going to be playing energy because you're only playing 4 energy. AZ makes you discard the cards attached to your Pokemon. Ace Roller doesn't, but you've got to be damaged. AZ is better in this deck because you're rarely going to have cards attached anyway. We can play Shauna for a bit of consistency as a shuffle draw supporter. We can be playing Skylar here just to search out our items. Guzma to grab a Pokemon in the active, which is really good because this is a lock deck. Versus Seeker to reuse your supporters. Ross only played one Versus Seeker. Why? Because Lillipup and Herdia get your items back. Palpad is another option for getting multiple supporters back rather than just the one with Versus Seeker. It also means you can pretty much make sure you're never going to deck out by just using Palpad to continually shuffle cards back into your deck. And again, you only need to play one of these because you can play Herdia and you can play Lillipup to get them back. Ultra Ball to search Pokemon, Rare Candy, because it's a Stage 2 deck. When you're evolving up in a Stage 2 deck, you need Rare Candy. It means you can evolve Lillipup straight into Stoutland without having to evolve into Herdia in the meantime. 2 Super Rod. Super Rod is pretty important because, you know, you get to get your Pokemon back and your energy back and all of that. And we play Computer Search as our A-Spec of choice here because we need to get set up. The general rule is if you need to reuse resources, you've got Dowsing Machine, but if you just need to get set up, Computer Search is your A-Spec of choice. Ross's deck here revolves very much around getting your opponent into a paralysis lock while using Stoutland to block their supporters. Fine, you need to get set up. Computer Search is your item of choice here, your A-Spec of choice. Now, I ran through the last ones quite quickly because they're fairly straightforward, but this is where the deck really comes together. he plays Devolution Spray. Devolution Spray here is absolutely crucial, because the theory is here that you get 2 Pikachu on the bench. You evolve one of them into Raichu, you paralyze your opponent. The next turn, you devolve that Raichu with Devolution Spray, evolve the other Pikachu, they are paralyzed. The next turn, you evolve the Raichu and evolve the first Pikachu and they're paralyzed. Every turn you devolve the Raichu and evolve the other Pikachu on the bench. You generally want to devolve and then immediately re-evolve, otherwise you devolve and then your opponent plays an N and then you have to go searching for the Pikachu again. How can you get away with doing this every turn? Because Herdier grabs Devolution Spray and Stoutland, using Celebi to copy Lillipup, grabs Devolution Spray. You want a Devolution Spray every single turn here, and you can do that using Herdier and using Lillipup to grab Devolution Spray back. Although, as a side note, you can also use Computer Search back, so that if you do get End, then you've got 2 of your Devolution Spray and Computer Search in your deck ready to grab. We also play Sparkling Robe here, 2 of them. Sparkling Robe is very important because if you're affected by a special condition, maybe you get KO'd by poison, maybe you get paralyzed, and then you're unable to grab your item back. They break the paralysis lock. So you need to be using Sparkling Robe to stop that happening. We play Field Blower here to get rid of things like Floatstone on a Keldeo. Keldeo would obviously be very bad. Jumps in the active, getting around paralysis, retreats with Floatstone. Goodra makes sure they can't put a Floatstone down. Maybe they've already got one down, so you use Field Blower to get rid of it. Ross plays 2 just in case one is prized. And finally, our old friend Tropical Beach. Ross is the person that really popularised Tropical Beach back in Worlds 2011 when he used it in his deck the day he was given it as a promo card. Here, you need to set up. As I keep telling you, this is a set-up deck. Tropical Beach, draw till 7 cards in your hand, end your turn. A lot of turns here you don't need to attack, you just need to have a Stoutland in the active, have your opponent paralysed. Nice to be able to use Lillipup to grab yourself an item back. But the main concern here is Stoutland in the active, have your opponent paralysed, you need to get set up. That's where Tropical Beach comes in. Here's the complete list. I love this deck. Anyone that's been watching this channel for a while will know I adore creativity. I adore unusual decks, and this fits that very, very nicely indeed. Thank you to Limitless for posting it. Thank you to Ross for coming up with an amazing deck. And yeah, any questions? Let me know in the comments. I will answer them to the best of my ability. I want to know what you think about this deck. Let me know. As always, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. That's where the live action happens. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., and the lovely Stephen McClellan, a lovely man, has just become the most recent supporter at Patreon, gotten himself access to those bonus pods, etc., then go and check out patreon.com/PTCG Radio. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.